On today's episode of the Taking for Quiet podcast, we're going to round up on our podcast series on cybersecurity and the church by sharing some specific tips tailored for churches, and as a bonus, I'll be sharing resources and learning materials you can always refer to get more familiarized with the concept of cybersecurity. Hello everyone and a warm welcome back to the Taking for Quiet podcast, the podcast where faith meets innovation. My name is Alexander and I'll be your host on this podcast. On today's episode of the podcast, we're concluding on the series on cybersecurity and the church. And today I'm going to start by sharing some general cybersecurity tips and then move on to specific tips tailored for the church. In the previous episode of this podcast series, I've thoroughly discussed on the need for churches to be cyber aware and how cyber crimes, cyber attacks is no longer a myth or something that can affect the church or the faith community. So if you haven't listened to it, I beg you to please pause this episode, go back, listen to it, and then come back to this episode and continue listening. Trust me, you'll find doing this very helpful. So for a start, let me share some general cybersecurity tips and measures you can implement not just for churches and the faith community, but also for individuals. Now, the first one you want to do is to keep software and hardware updated. So you want to do that by regularly updating your software, especially your operating system, your OS. So either you are running a Mac, a Windows, or a Linux operating system for your church, or you are using it as your main operating system. You want to do that to actually protect against security vulnerabilities. So anytime Windows or a lot of these operating system manufacturers send in new updates, it's actually to to protect against some security vulnerabilities. You're actually running updates regularly on your system. So another one is that you want to ensure that you check out outdated hardware that may not support the latest security upgrades, and also ensure that you actually upgrade software. Also ensure that you upgrade your hardware so that they can be compatible with your software upgrades. The next one is to avoid suspicious emails. So be very cautious of suspicious emails, as they may be phishing scams designed to steal personal information or infect your devices with malware. So in the previous episode, I shared a very personal experience of how trying to look for cracked apps online, I mistakenly downloaded a ransomware on the church system. And the good thing about it was that it was just isolated to that particular system, right? So the system was not connected to the networks of other system, and it was just something that we were able to just really solve it without spending too much. But it would have been prevented if I was not actually looking for cracked app. In this case, never open attachment or links from unknown or suspicious sources. So if you don't trust those people, don't open the message, don't open any file that they send to you, don't open any link, just delete or send to your spam folder or block them. So the next one is to use antivirus and anti-malware programs. So install reputable antivirus and anti-malware software to reduce vulnerability and malware threats. So consider opting for premium plans for enhanced security across all your devices. Like I know of Avast, for example. I think Avast, based on their subscription, let's just assume it's just 5,000 naira per year, and I think that can work for, like, let's say one piece. So if you have like 3 to 4 pieces, you might want to consider getting the plans that can work for 3 to 4 pieces you are using in your church, personal life, or you are using in your ministry. So the need of antivirus and anti-malware is not really that much talked about, because a lot of people don't really see how damaging it can be. But looking at it from a security aspect, it's very very important that as soon as you are installing your OS, as soon as you are installing any software on your system, you want to ensure that you are also installing antivirus. The next one is to use secure password practices. So you want to create strong, unique password. And one of the things that I actually put here is that don't be lazy with your password. A lot of people are actually lazy with their password, lazy with how they set a password. They just set this media team 123 or the name of that church 123. And also another practice you want to ensure that you do is that you ensure that you use different password across different you know channels that you have. Or if you have a social media account, the password is different from the password for your email, so that in case if someone is able to access one, the person can't use that to access all other platforms that you have. So want to utilize password managers with robust encryption and enable two-factor authentication for an extra layer of security. So you want to enable two-factor authentication. You want to use your mail, you want to use your phone number, like your Gmail, for example. You can do such a way that if someone logged in, another person is going to receive notification, and if the person is not sure of the device, or is not sure of the location, or is not sure of that login session, the person can hint the main person that have it, or the person can use that to actually get access and revoke that login. Regularly review login histories, that's what I'm trying to talk about, and promptly change password if any suspicious activity is detected. There was a time that I think when I was still running my church social media account, one thing I always notice is that which is also another advice I want to give. As much as possible, especially when it comes to social media, don't try to give people password direct. Don't log in on people's phone. Don't give people the account password direct. So for like Facebook, you can just make them admin, make them moderator, make them analyst. I think Facebook pages have that type of roles you can always give people, and also have like a backup. So we made the pastor, the some of the head in the church, we made them admins, and then we made some people like some of the people in the media, we now make them, just we give them rules, but not really that big of a role. So the main essence is that, for example, I can take my pastor's white phone and then actually live stream. Though I actually find it not actually safe in a way, because I actually have access to our account, unrestricted access to our account, but I feel like it's something that you can actually work on. So if there's mutual trust, you trust the person and the person trusts you, then the person can trust that, okay, I can give you my phone, you can actually live stream from my own account to the page. You understand? So you want to ensure that you do that. You want to ensure that you give people admin privileges as much as possible, instead of just handling your password to them. And one of the things I also noticed I also did was that when I saw that there were a lot of login sessions, what I did was I just logged everybody out, changed the password. Anybody that now want the password can now come and meet me. I can say, oh, I don't think I can give you the password any longer, because I don't see any need for you to want to do that. But then it's church, but then again, we need to be very, very, conscious of a lot of these things. So one of the things I think is going to help you is that you put in protocols in places. So you put in protocols in places. Who and who can get access to the church account, who and who can get access to the church Instagram, to the church Facebook, apart from maybe the default media guys, who and who can just come and get access to it. And even if that person is getting access to it, how long is that person going to get access to it? The person only getting access to it, maybe to just post a particular thing, or the person getting access to it indefinitely. So you want to ensure that those protocols are put in place. Okay, so let's move on to some cybersecurity tips tailored for churches. Now, I've already highlighted some above when I was talking about the general tips, but the most important thing is that most of these things I'm going to share, they are actionable and they are well detailed. The first one is that you secure online donations. So if you are a church or a ministry that accept online donations or have it available as an option for your members, then you want to use a reputable payment processor and secure donation platform with encrypted donation forms. The standard for all websites now is that you must have an SSL certificate. You must have an SSL certificate, and that's one of the things that when you go to a website and then you see secured or not secured, that's also one of the things you need to teach your members, because it's very easy for someone to clone your website or to clone your donation page. So you need to be very careful. You need to know that, okay, when you go to the site, what are the things that you check? So one of the things that you check is that when you you're going to see something like an icon, like a padlock icon. If it tells you not secured, no matter who sent that link to you or how much you want to actually carry on that transaction, please don't do it. Don't do it. So if you see not secured, don't do it. But then if you see secured with a padlock and then you overround, it's going to show you some more information, then you can go ahead to perform that transaction. So one of the things that actually powers that is this SSL certificate or SSL encryption protocol, and then we have the TLS encryption protocol. So to protect sensitive information, like for example, you want to ensure that you are protecting the credit card information, protecting their address information. You want to ensure that you are protecting a lot of things. You are protecting their PIN. What are the systems you are using to get? Maybe if they need to use OTP, or if they need to use a lot of these things in place. So you want to ensure that you are using a payment processor that is very, very secured, and you have to be very, very picky when it comes to stuff like this. So if you don't want to use a lot of these fancy ones, you can just use banks. Just tell the banks this is what you want to do, and then they can help you come up with like a system. So the next one is that you want to protect sensitive information. So you want to ensure that you safeguard your members' record, your financial data, and other sensitive information with encryptions, access controls, and regular data backups. You want to ensure that you back up your data as much as possible. You want to ensure you have access control. Who and who can access different level of data. top leaders should be one of the main admins. So they should be the only people who should have like some kind of like unrestricted access to some particular information. So a member or a volunteer should not be able to see what the pastor should be seeing when it comes to maybe records, when it comes to some financial data. Next, what you want to also do is to secure your church website and online channels. So you want to do this by using strong passwords, regularly updating your software, and also use SSL and TLS certificates. So that's one of the things we mentioned earlier in the first one, to encrypt your data. Also enable two-factor authentication. I think this one goes hand in hand with securing online donation. But basically, if you only have a church website, also ensure that whatever hosting service that you're using, whatever domain service that you're using, can give you SSL certificates or can give you some form of encryption. Again, moving on, we also have educating your staff and congregation members. So you need to provide cybersecurity training to recognize malware and other cyber threats. So awareness is key to prevention. So it's very, very important that we stress that awareness is key to prevention. So you want to educate the staff, your volunteers, those who are helping you run one or two things. Educate your congregation members. Oh, if you receive a mail that tells you to do XYZ, if you are not sure of it, please call this person, or please don't move on with it until you are sure of authenticity. So it's very, very important. So the next one is to use secure communication channels. So you want to encourage the use of encrypted email services and messaging apps to protect sensitive information. So you want to implement network security measures like firewalls and antivirus softwares. So you want to ensure that you have firewalls on your system. I think Windows, most of the operating system have some firewalls, but they might not be 100% safe. So if you want to get additional ones, maybe third party ones, then it's fine. And also, of course, antivirus will stress that when we're talking about the general tips. And also, you want to use encrypted email services and any apps that you're using. Let me just stress this: any communication channel that you're using should be consistent, right? If you're using Facebook, if you're using Instagram as your main communication channel, if you're using email services, it should be consistent, right? You don't want to use email and then use maybe your WhatsApp, and then you're just like jumping, you're not really sure, or you're just moving all about. The reason is because if you're not consistent, after a while, people won't know when you are not the one actually using that particular platform. So because you haven't used it for a while, all of a sudden there's a message there, people might want to actually believe that you are the one pushing it, whereas you might not be the one. So you want to be consistent in using one form of communication channels. So the next one is to monitor, audit, and upgrade systems. So you want to regularly monitor and update your systems for suspicious activities or unauthorized access. So that was what I did with my church social media channel, the examples I gave earlier, where I just went and looked at audio login sessions, and then I just revoked everybody's access to it. So you want to ensure that you monitor, you have this framework, these protocols in place. Every 3 months, every 4 months, we audit all our channels, we upgrade all our channels. All of these things boils down to protocols, boils down to discipline, and then boils down to practice, things that you put, implement and you put in place. So the next one is to create and test incident response plan. So to do this, you just need to develop an incident response plan to quickly respond to security incidents. So what happens if somebody takes over your email channel? How do you respond to it? Who is your go-to person? Do you have a backup? What happens if somebody managed to gain access to your database and then cause a breach? How can you plug that leak as fast as possible? If you don't have it, you would just let it go. And the funny thing with churches is that we have this belief that what did they need it for? There's nothing they can use it to do. The thing is that a lot of these guys, like I said in the first episode, and I'll still keep on referring to it, they don't have moral conscience. Everything for them is just fair game. They are just there just for the truth. Some might not even end up doing anything with it, but for the fact that they've been able to hack into your account means that they've been able to accomplish something. And this is the thing, because they hacked into it and they did not take anything, does not still mean that it is not still a threat. That's just the thing. They might actually hack into it and they might not take anything. And then you feel like, we thank God, some people hacked into our account, but they did not do anything. Praise the Lord. Thank you, Jesus, and all that. But let me tell you, that is the worst thing you want to do, because what those hackers do is that when they enter your system, if they see that, oh, there's nothing worthwhile, but they know there will be something worthwhile, they will leave what we call a backdoor. A backdoor is just like an access for them to enter inside. And if you don't have this response, this cleanup protocols in place that, oh, someone access our clean, we want you to go into our system, scrub our system, and then ensure that there's no backdoor, there's no way they can have access to it again. If we don't do that, if we just let it slide, what's going to happen is that when it now becomes sensitive, you now start using that particular platform. But because you be so carried away that because they did not take anything, because they did not steal anything, what do you think is going to happen? They'll actually steal information. So they use those backdoors to steal information from your system. So it's very, very important that you have a lot of this incident response in place and regularly test the plan to ensure its effectiveness. So you can hire a white hat hacker, or you can just look for somebody who is just good with technology to help you just assess how good a lot of these things are. So the next one is that you want to stay informed about cyber threats. So you want to stay up to date with the latest cybersecurity trends and threats to protect your church digital assets. So it's very, very important. There are a lot of industries, and a lot of industries are now dedicating the whole department, dedicating the whole research unit, dedicating resources and all that to this cybersecurity. So it means that there are more resources, there are more tools, there are more learning materials, there are more things that has to do with cybersecurity available online. So you can always go online and read more, you can always go online and check what's the latest, you can always join forums, join communities, read reports. Like recently I was reading these IBM reports, and one of the things they were talking about was people using these tools that are meant for training people when it comes to certified ethical hacking. People actually using those tools to actually perform illegal hacking itself. So the tool is there, was created for something good, but actually using it for something bad. So a lot of these reports will help you. The knowledge of a lot of these trends, a lot of these threats, and how they do this thing will also help you in ensuring that you stay protected and you stay safe online. Okay, so that will be all for now, and thank you for joining me on the concluding part on cybersecurity and the church. Hope you found this episode really helpful and impactful, and please don't forget to check the episode description for resource guides and material you can use to learn and also teach and train your team and congregation members on cybersecurity. Now, so for more in-depth discussions, stay tuned to the next episode of the Techie for Pride podcast. Before you leave, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review if you found today's episode valuable. Your support keeps me going and motivates me to do more. Don't forget to connect with me on social media on Instagram, Twitter, and also follow me on TikTok at Techie for Christ. Now, don't forget to check out my new YouTube channel for this podcast on YouTube. So also, if you're a podcaster and are looking to collaborate or just share insights and ask questions related to technology and Christian faith, feel free to reach out to me. Also, you can share your stories, testimonies with me via my Instagram and Twitter handles, again at Techie for Christ. Now, thank you for joining me today. Until next time, keep innovating, stay faithful, blessed, tech savvy, and may your tech infused journey bring abundant blessing to your church and community. This is Alexander once again for signing off from the Techie for Christ podcast.